thank you again, everybody, for being here. Well, we are today here together to chat a little bit about the new guidance from Codex Alimentarius. Hi, hello. Thank you for your message. Today the idea is Jay and I, we joined together to do an article, and we thought that could be a good idea to come up here and do a brief chat about what we have done. So the idea today is only to chat a little bit about what we have written, and well, to introduce a little bit to this topic if any of you here or in Facebook are still not following our posts or not following this new topic. This is an important topic, right? Because, well, we are talking about a document that is a reference for food safety. So if you remember a little bit about the history of HACCP, you will remember that this guidance was first published in '69, but at the time it didn't have any kind of guidance to HACCP. It was only focused on good hygiene practice. Then in '97, from the last century, right, they implemented, it was published a new update including this guidance here. And well, so this text, this document, this guidance is, in my opinion, still the most relevant document when we are talking about HACCP. Is followed by many people, even by the food safety programs that we, for example, have under the GFSI umbrella, or even by legislation, by regulation, or by some countries use this as a reference to define legislation. Okay, well, so we are talking about a big issue, right, Ray?
Definitely. No, I agree with you 100%. Like, this is one of the core documents when it comes to food safety, and it's important to understand it fully. That's for sure.
Great. Awesome. Well, Ray, why don't you talk a little bit more about you? Because, well, I think the audience would like to know a little bit more about what you do, what you have been done. I like to know, and I think this is important because maybe we have some junior people, also junior food safety professionals watching us. So maybe we can share a little bit briefly about what you do and what has been this food safety journey for you until now, right?
Sounds great. Thank you. To start with, thank you so much, Nono, for organizing this. It's brilliant being here talking to you, such a great food safety professional. I love the commitment that you have, the value that you add to the people in the industry, which is brilliant. And welcome to all of those watching us and joining us today, which is great. So I'm Ray. I'm from Food Surety Limited. It's food protection training and consultancy based here in New Zealand. I'm the lead trainer and managing director. And I believe that food professionals hate confusion. And that's why everything I do is about supporting food professionals to do what's right with confidence. And this will help them to succeed, to be happy and fulfilled while protecting consumers everywhere. Technically focusing on training and consulting, a bit of auditing services as well. And this is what I do. From a journey point of view, probably it started in the early 2000s when I did my bachelor degree in food technology. And after that, I started working in quality assurance roles, then moved into auditing, training, consulting, and I've been doing this since. It's amazing. Like for those juniors watching us, as you said, I think definitely enjoy what you do and keep learning. Auditing is really good. You learn a lot. Training is fun, and you help people. So keep learning. I think this is the advice. What we do is super important. Always think of the people consuming the product at the other side, right? Out of the factory, out of the business where you work, because it's important to keep everybody safe. And that's it.
Yes. Well, let me share with you. I am checking in on Facebook Live. You really look like a pro there.
Oh, cool.
You look very handsome. I'm checking out. It seems fine. Well, we are also live there. That is great. Okay, Ray. So you talk a little bit about what you do, but share a little bit more. Okay, so what is your role? What takes most of your time in these days, in this pandemic here?
Definitely. Well, probably the thing that I try to do the most is talking to people out there in the industry, let's call them clients if you'd like, trying to understand the pain point that people have, especially within this changing environment, and trying to understand what are the challenges that they're facing and what goals do they have in the short term and in the long term, and trying to tailor solutions that help them to reach where they're going, mainly in the training arena. Again, if a bit of consulting is needed, I work with people to help them get the job done, and sometimes auditing, whether I audit the work that they have done to help them move forward, or help them build their own internal audit function. So mainly food safety, food defense, food fraud prevention, and this type of work.
Great, awesome to know. And well, let's now move gears, right? Let's talk a little bit about what brings us together today. And well, when we start looking at the document was released last year, and in the final months of last year. I think, at least on my side, and I maybe also to you, the first thing we look is to the structure, right? What is difference? Because that is something that we can just open the document and see if something is changed. And we notice right ahead that one thing is very important, is that the HACCP guidance is no longer an annex, right? It's inside of the document, so it's a part of the main document. This means that this is, I think it increased somehow the importance, right, as it's moved out from an annex. Don't you think?
Definitely, no. And we all agree that HACCP is the best approach we have to produce safe food, to cut costs even, and to be efficient at our food businesses. This document is that document that standardizes HACCP, that explains how it should work. And the fact that the document is like structured nicely now, and it has the HACCP as core part of the document, it emphasizes the importance of HACCP, that's for sure.
Right. And also definitions, right? We found out 10 new definitions, 13 modified. Well, this is a big change, right? I think, well, my opinion, definitions are important. I'm always advising people read definitions especially if you are reading standards, food safety programs, read definitions. And I think that Codex Alimentarius did a great job bringing more definitions, changing and others. Even the definition of food safety hazard was changed, right?
Definitely. I agree with you 100%. No. Definitions are very important, and like you can see them at the beginning of the document, which makes sense, right? So if we'd like to talk about CCPs, for example, we have to understand at least 5-10 other definitions first. So what is the hazard? What is a significant hazard? What is acceptable limit, control measures? Then we talk about critical limits. Then we talk about monitoring, validation. Then we talk about, this is a CCP. If we don't understand fully all of these definitions, we will not be able to talk CCPs and manage them appropriately. So definitely definitions are super important. In the new document there are 10 new definitions, 13 modified ones, super important, and some definitions that change is very, very slight or minor. In some other cases the definitions are very important, like what has changed there.
Yes, and we noticed and we shared something about that also in the article. And another thing that is noticeable is that and the Codex is not alone, let's say like this, because recently we have seen a lot of requirements updated, moving towards a higher relevance, a higher commitment of top management, a higher commitment of the organization regarding food safety. Okay, food safety is really the responsibility of the food safety owners, the food business owners, right? And of course, inside the food business, from top management. And also here, we see that Codex is pushing again for the importance of commitment to food safety and also to a food safety culture, right?
Definitely, definitely. And like even one of the definitions is about the food business operator. It's very clearly
Hmm.
defined what we mean by food business operator. And like what you said, no, there is a huge emphasis on the role that a food business operator play, making sure the resources are available, making sure that they provide their team with the right training and leadership and communication and food safety culture, definitely very important. The behavioral aspect of food safety is being emphasized big time in this document, and it's really good to see, definitely.
Yes, and this food safety culture is coming and is not leaving us, right?
Yep.
It's all over the place. It's all over the place. You see GFSI, we see, of course, the food safety programs are adopting. Now here in Europe is already in legislation. We have recently updated our main document, our main regulation, and to have two paragraphs or two clauses about food safety culture. So Codex is only one more independent and body of that brings and enhance the importance of food safety culture. So we are seeing this movement in the last years, and now we have, I think, with the European Union new regulation, including also food safety culture inside their regulation, with Codex, including food safety culture inside their guidance, we definitely is a topic that no one can miss it, right? This is something that we all have to include and apply inside our organizations.
Definitely. And at the end of the day, the best system is written on a piece of paper or saved on a file in a computer. It doesn't produce safe food. What produce safe food would be people. And that's
Yeah,
why their
right.
level of understanding, their commitment is key. That's for sure.
Yes, yes, that is great. Well, another interesting topic that we shared in the article is about the good hygiene practices. And our codex is telling us that, well, some good hygiene practice, like cleaning, for instance, if you are cleaning a ready-to-eat meat slicer, we must pay greater attention to this kind of good hygiene practice, right? So, what do you think about this?
Yep. So the good news that all the information about the good hygiene practices have been detailed further. And there's a lot of extra guidance in the document. And again, going back to definitions, good hygiene practices are those aimed at the general hazards, if you'd like, not as necessarily a specific hazard. However, in some cases, a good hygiene practice to the like of cleaning procedures, for example, can be aimed at a specific hazard. For example, listeria in the environment in the
Mhm.
workplace or the production area. In this case, by default, this good hygiene practice will need further attention or greater attention. It's not necessarily a new thing. By default, we know that even PRPs and good hygiene practices has to be risk-based. But now it's clearly stated in the document from Codex that, hey, some PRPs or good hygiene practices requires further attention because they have greater concern when it comes to food safety attached to them. And we just need to give it more monitoring, more verification, if you'd like. And that helps to sell safe food. And this is the new concept of
Yes,
it.
yes, and I noticed and I read something that I thought that is very interesting because they tell them, well, every hazard that is relevant, every significant hazard, okay, that we from hazard assessment we decide that should have control measures, okay. If it's significant, it has to have control measures. Then the control measures are either good hygiene practice, either the good hygiene practice, but more focusing and with some special attention, okay? And then they tell you if your control measures are applied in a step, then it's a CCP, okay? So we have here still the two, a good hygiene practice and also the CCPs, but then they tell as well, pay attention, especially to the monitoring and verification, because if it's something that is really important or very focused in managing a specific hazard, you should take that in consideration and consider it a little bit more in detail or more careful. Okay, so that is really interesting. Now, moving gears, we still have the 12 principles, the 12 steps and the 7 principles, but we don't have a decision tree, right?
That's correct, which is very interesting actually. To be honest, when I first saw the official document, the first thing I ran to see was, do we have OPRPs? And personally, I was happy to see that nope, there's no OPRPs. And in that part of the document, definitely they spoke about the decision tree, and I was like, oh, there's no decision tree. So very briefly, what has happened in the past? A decision tree was recommended, and it was an example. And even Codex in the previous document said, hey, use this with flexibility, and this is just an example. In my opinion, it is a brilliant example. It has worked really well. What they have done now, they took it out and they reduced the emphasis on using a decision tree. They still say you can use a decision tree, but they didn't emphasize on it that much. What's happening that there are 2 examples of a decision tree that are being reviewed currently, and as far as I know, in November this year there will be a meeting at Codex and they will comment on these, and maybe they will decide if they'd like to use one of them. So currently there's no decision tree example in the document. It might be introduced in the future. Let's see what happens later this year. Personally, I still recommend people to use the existing one until we see if they will come up with a new one. Knowing that the new one will not be that much different anyway.
Yes, still on that topic. Well, another interesting aspect is where Codex still stands that the CCP can be observable and measurable, right? So and when we have ISO, that when they state clearly that a CCP must have measurable critical limits. So and for Codex, they are standing on their feet and say, well, a CCP, we can have also measurable and observable critical limits. And so you can still include somehow, for example, the allergen control of allergen labeling as a CCP according to Codex, while in ISO, this is something that is not only observable, and therefore it has to be an OPRP, for example. So that's another interesting. We are always looking but I still believe they are very close together. Okay, ISO and Codex are very aligned, but they still stand on their grounds in some situations, and they don't reach here a consensus to try to have an unified approach to the HACCP, right? But definitely. This sometimes makes people a little bit confused. But well, I think we have to study a little bit the Codex. If you have ISO, you study the ISO and you have to apply. But after all, at the end of the day, as you were telling in the beginning, food safety is a lot about behaviors, commitment, and not about the names how we name the hazards, right? Or the CCPs or the OPFPs. It's more about if you are taking care of what you should, if people are doing what they are doing because it's the right thing to do, and if people are taking a good look to what is supposed to be taken, because it's important to guarantee food safety. So that is what makes the difference, and not so much how you call it, right?
Definitely, I agree with you. Definitely, the alignment is there, and it's increasing, I have to say. But when it comes to CCP, OPRP, like what you said, they still say no, we want our OPRP, and Codex went saying nope, there's no need for that. There's a CCP, and that's enough. Cool.
Yes. Okay, Ray. So I'm really enjoying this talk. Well, I think I will do 1 or 2 questions more. Maybe I don't know if you have any idea, anything else from the document that we haven't talked in the article. Anything, any specific point you like to share about that we didn't include in the article?
Yep. There are lots of little changes here and there. Definitely, that's where we can talk about for sure. And for example, one thing I'd like to highlight is the definition of deviation. This is really interesting because now Codex changed the definition of a food safety hazard and included a new definition that talks about deviation. So there is a difference between what makes people sick, for example, harm the consumer, and what may lead to the presence of that hazard, which is the deviation. And maybe this is again in line with what with ISO 22000 is talking about. There is a difference between a hazard, deviation, and even the deviation itself might be very likely or less likely. It's a bit of a complex topic, but yeah, like I encourage people to look into it. It will have an impact on how we identify hazards. So you identify the hazard, not the deviation. Again, this is a topic in itself. A couple of quick topics really. For example, in principle, on step number 1, now Codex want us to highlight the applicable PRPs as part of the HACCP team and the scope. You also mentioned applicable PRPs. In the flowcharts, for example, now Codex specifically asked to identify inputs and outputs. Many people do it, but it wasn't a requirement before. What else? Yeah, so there are little changes like these. Different places that we can highlight. And to be honest, in the Codex forum, if you allow me to just mention that, I keep adding a lot of updates around every step specifically, and the definitions, for example. There's a 15-minute video there people can watch, and like it's good to have a forum for us to chat and ask questions and share knowledge.
Yes, of course, because we can't say everything because people have to read the document. So this is only to open appetite. The article is also to bring some awareness to the document, but well, if you are a food safety professional, if you are watching us, go grab the document for free, print it, read it carefully, because this is really the basics, the cornerstone, the basics of HACCP is there. Okay, so you should know this, despite you working with FSSC, ISO, VFC, whatever you work, SKF. Despite that, you should read and understand correctly this document, because it's really the basis of HACCP as we know today, right? Okay, Ray, so we are moving to the end of this talk. You were talking a little bit about your project, so I will encourage you to talk more. So tell people now that are watching us where people can engage with you, how can people see what you do. And of course, at least in Facebook, you will also comment in the post any link to your forum for sure. But tell us how people can find you and engage with what you do.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, but probably LinkedIn is a very good platform to connect and stay in touch. If you can find me on LinkedIn, and definitely my website, which is foodsurety.com, and I will be very happy to engage with people. I love HACCP, I love food safety, and I love talking about these things. So it's a pleasure anytime.
Yes, we can see it. We can see it when we are talking. This is something that comes easy out of you, right? So ready for my final question. This is a question I'm always curious to do to food safety professionals, and it is, if you had a magic wand, Ray, what would you do, or what you ask for that to change food safety?
Right, great question. I love it. And like the first time I heard you asking these questions to your guests, like the first thing came to my mind was, if I have a magic wand, I will do two little things that are connected to each other. The first one is...
the question is one, but okay.
One?
Okay, so I'll let you go.
I'll put it in one sentence. Does that work? So technically, I will make every food professional understand exactly the importance of what they do and why they do it. And when they understand that, I believe they will do what's right. And the second little bit is consistency. So when you understand what's right, you do it, then you are consistent doing what's right. I think we will save lives, and we will save food waste, which will help with food security, which will help with environment, and it snowballs into many different things. So understanding and consistency. This is it.
Okay. Awesome. Yes, a great answer. Thank you, Ray, for your time. It was a pleasure to do the article with you. It was a pleasure to chat a little bit about the topic today. We are going to say goodbye for our friends in Facebook. So say goodbye to them as I'm closing the live. Well, and I still have here 1 or 2 people that are here in Zoom. Maybe if they want to question us, we are happy to reply to any questions. So goodbye, Facebook. See you soon.
Thank you so much, Nuno. Thank you.
Okay, so everybody, if you want to engage a little bit and have any question, please.
Morning, Nuno and Ray.
Hello.
It was very informative, session. I know it's very early morning here in Adelaide, but I still wanted to make sure that I attend to this talk. I've been in touch with Ray yesterday. I was mistaken that I missed this session because I thought it was yesterday, but Ray assured me that it is not yesterday. You didn't miss it out. It's today. So I had to wake up early in the morning, and yeah, it's very informative. I constantly follow yourself and Ray. I've been following all your sessions. I take this opportunity as a privilege because today, I mean, in the tough situations, we do not get such resources and informations readily available for all the food technologists or food safety professionals. So I take this opportunity to thank you both to putting this effort together. So I also look forward to such sessions in the future too.
Okay, Ravi. Thank you so much. Thank you so
That's
much
really
for
good,
your.
Ravi. Like, you're a star of food safety, I have to say. Like, you're really committed, you're really active, and it does show a lot of commitment. So thank you so much for being here with us and for your engagement. Actually, it's brilliant.